Once we've configured Informatica Cloud with the connections to our Redshift cluster and to our other data sources, I can now begin my data load. To do that, I go to Apps and choose Data Synchronization. From here, I click on the New button, and what we see is a very simple 6-step wizard to perform our data load. So step 1, this is where I give it a name to keep track of. And I choose my operation. I'm simply going to perform an insert, but you can also perform updates and upserts when loading into Redshift. In step 2, I choose my source. So for my demo, I'm going to grab data out of an RDS system and load it into Redshift. So for my source, I'll choose my RDS connection. And then now, if I take a look at my source objects, you see all of the tables and views that are in that RDS instance. I'm going to simply just choose my account table. And what we see down below is a quick data preview of that table. I then move on to step 3, and this is where I specify my Redshift target. So I choose my Redshift connection. If I wanted to load into an existing table, I could do that by selecting any tables that are already there in my cluster. Otherwise, I can also go and create a new table, which is what I'll do here. And I'm simply going to create a new table called account, which will match the source table name and will also contain all of the fields that are there in the source table. I then move on to step 4. This is an optional step where I can perform data filters to limit the rows of data that are loaded into Redshift. Again, this is an optional step that I'll skip for now. Now in step 5, this is where I specify my field mapping, or which fields go directly into the target fields in Redshift. By default, we'll automatically perform an auto match based off of name, and since I've created my table to have the same table name and columns, we see everything is already pre-mapped. If I wanted to remove any fields, I could do that. Or if I also needed to perform any transformations on the data, that's available to me as well. And I can simply click on an existing field where I can transform the data. Otherwise, for new fields, or fields that are unmapped, I can click on the expression icon, which will also bring up my expression transformation box. And if we take a look, we have over 100 or so functions available to us, and these are also broken up into different types of functions. I then move on to step 6. This is our scheduling screen. If we wanted to, I can create a new schedule if I wanted to run this on a recurring basis. You see we have fully functional scheduler available to us. But for this demo, I'm simply going to run this manually, so I will not have that assigned to a schedule. Now before we're able to complete our data load, we do have a couple of more parameters that we need to specify. First is the S3 bucket name. With the Informatica Cloud Redshift connector, we do use best practices, so we will load data first into S3 before moving it into Redshift. So I do need to specify a bucket that I have access to. And we will also need a staging directory on the secure agent machine that we can load temporary data to. So for me, I'm just going to write to a directory that I created called c:/Amazon. I can now go ahead and save and run this task. What will then pop up is the activity monitor screen. So this is where I can actually watch as the data gets loaded into Redshift. Once the load is complete, the screen will switch over to the activity log screen so we can see anything that is completed in the past, and we are now complete with our data load.